screen.
Sorry about that.
Okay, no, that's fine. Would you like me to start again or?
Yes, why don't you restart? Sorry, I was having trouble with the recording, but we got it all set now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Olivia Matongo. I'm the Vice President of Programs for the Alzheimer's Association Illinois chapter. I'm truly honored to be here today to talk about all the exciting research that's happening and really the close relationship that we have with Rush and all the great work that we're doing in community to really advance our missions forward. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And I hope everybody can see that. Okay. Okay. So at the Alzheimer's Association, our work is really about people and science. We are a worldwide voluntary health organization that is dedicated to Alzheimer's care, support, and research. Our mission is to really be the ones leading the way to end Alzheimer's and all other dementia by focusing on risk reduction, early detection, research, and then we also really want to make sure that we're providing quality care and support in community. We are a leader of the cause, and our greatest strength comes from our relentless and multifaceted approach to end Alzheimer's and all other dementia. Everything that we do, care and support, advocacy, research, is evidence-based, meaning it is rooted in the most up-to-date research that's in the field. We are recognized by the global scientific community for our unwavering focus on helping people who are living with this disease, their family, their friends, and our ability to really fund the best science around the world. I do want to talk about our facts and figures. Our facts and figures tend to be published every year in the springtime, and it really illustrates the impact of Alzheimer's and dementia across the US. Last year, it was estimating that 6.7 million Americans age 65 and older are living with the disease. In Illinois specifically, we know that there are 230,000 people that are living with this disease. We also know that age is the biggest risk factor. Our facts and figures report indicates that by 2050, it is projected that there'll be nearly 13 million people living with this disease. These numbers not only impact the individual that's living with this disease, but their friends, their family, people around them. Everybody is impacted by this disease. Over 11 million Americans are currently providing unpaid care to those living with the disease. In Illinois specifically, it's 312,000 caregivers that are bearing the burden of this disease. Caregivers across the United States provided more than 18 billion hours of care in 2022. In Illinois specifically, that was 481 million hours of unpaid care. While the vast majority of help for those living in the disease comes from family, friends, and a variety of other unpaid caregivers, other help also comes from the healthcare industry. It is estimated that 1.2 million additional direct workers will be needed between 2020 and 2030. And we also feel that other areas of healthcare will also need to change as well in order to adapt to what's happening with this disease. How people are approaching care is also set to change. So in order to receive better care, it is really essential for patients to have conversations about their memory concerns with their healthcare providers as early as possible. Our facts and figures indicates that today, only 4 in 10 Americans would talk to their doctor right away when they're experiencing memory or cognitive loss. However, 7 in 10 Americans would want to know early if they have Alzheimer's disease, so it could allow for treatment options. The most common question that we get asked is, what is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? Dementia is an umbrella term that's used to describe a range of symptoms. The symptoms include changes in memory. Examples of this are difficulty remembering newly learned information, or even just forgetting information that was just read to you. Another example of symptoms are changes in thinking. So, having difficulty in planning or perhaps solving problems, or even just difficulty in concentrating. Other symptoms include changes in one's behavior. So, this could be mood changes, changes in apathy, personality, somebody probably behaving um, inappropriately socially. These are all symptoms of dementia that we all really want to think about when we're interacting with our friends and family and various individuals in the community. In order for a diagnosis for dementia to be made, symptoms have to be severe enough to impact your daily life. So if you're having difficulty keeping appointments, tracking your bills, or if you are beginning to notice that some of the relationships around you are beginning to change due to something that's happening within yourself, please make sure you seek help if this is something that you're experiencing. There are many causes of dementia, including Alzheimer's disease, which is the most diagnosed disease out of the umbrella. There's also vascular dementia. There's also frontotemporal dementia. There's also mixed dementia. It's very prevalent. Each of these dementias have their own unique set of symptoms, progression, and underlying brain changes. When we talk about Alzheimer's disease being a continuum, this really means that changes are happening over time. Everyone will usually start off asymptomatic, pardon me, meaning that they have no cognitive symptoms, but possibly some biological changes that are happening in the brain. MCI due to Alzheimer's disease means somebody living with the disease with early stages of cognitive loss. It is not necessarily affecting most of their daily activities, but they are some noticeable changes that are happening. Someone who may go on to develop dementia due to Alzheimer's disease then is passing through an additional phase, which means that they may be experiencing mild, moderate, or the severe stages of dementia. Everyone who experiences dementia will have passed through the stage of MCI, which is mild cognitive impairment. But not everybody that has mild cognitive impairment due to Alzheimer's disease, pardon me, but not everyone who has mild cognitive impairment, that doesn't always necessarily mean that it will develop into Alzheimer's disease. So it is important to define what is the cause of mild cognitive impairment. Understanding what is causing those changes at the earliest stages of the disease is really important to make sure that the people that are experiencing this are on the right treatment path. This provides an opportunity for prevention. If we can prevent new cases of MCI, then maybe we can also prevent new cases of dementia. I want to emphasize again that not everyone who has MCI goes on to develop dementia, but those who have MCI are at risk of developing dementia in the future. So the plaques, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. my slides kind of froze on me, pardon me. So based on research that we're seeing around the globe, we know that there are things that make up risk that are both non-modifiable as well as modifiable. When we're talking about non-modifiable risk factors, we are certainly talking about things that we cannot change, like age and genetics. Alzheimer's and dementia is not a normal part of aging, but as I mentioned earlier, it is the biggest risk factor for developing Alzheimer's disease. Genetic plays a role, family history plays a role. When we think about race, ethnicity, sex, gender, this is a construct that we're still learning more about and really trying to understand how it impacts all these different groups. When we think about modifiable risk factors or things that we may be able to change or influence, those include physical activity, cardiovascular health, sleep, diet, environmental and lifestyle factors. Many of these combined together may drive overall risk. There are a number of reasons for each individual group that may be fundamental and unique. We also know that the social determinants of health may impact some or all factors. Again, depending on your own personal factors and the type of group or population that you belong to. These may be different. So the strength of our understanding for each group and population and individual is very different at this time. And also the strength of our understanding across each of these risk factors is different. I now want to move on and talk about gender and racial differences in Alzheimer's prevalence. We continue to identify gender and racial differences in regards to risk. Almost 2/3 of Americans with Alzheimer's disease are women. Older Blacks and Hispanics are at greater risk of developing Alzheimer's and dementia. For Blacks, we're twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's, and for Hispanics, they're 1.5 times likely to develop this disease. We know that 46% of Asian Americans are concerned with developing Alzheimer's or dementia, and 56% of them believe memory loss is a normal part of aging. We also know that by 2060, the number of Native Americans living with dementia is projected to increase 4 times, and as many as 1 in 3 will develop Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. We know that we need more population-based studies to really understand what prevalence looks like across different ethnic groups. It is a really exciting time in research right now at the Alzheimer's Association. It's exciting to work here and see all of the things that are happening to help our community, to educate our community. It's really exciting to be at the forefront of research and all the new treatments that are coming out. It's truly an exciting time. We are the largest nonprofit funder of Alzheimer's and dementia research. The Alzheimer's Association is a global research force, and we fund the best projects regardless of where they're happening across the world. Today, the association has invested over $360 million of grants in action, making it possible for more than 1,000 research projects in 53 different countries, spanning 6 out of 7 continents. That's amazing. We are all over the world doing research, trying to understand how different communities are impacted. We are really committed to this work, and we really want to realize a world without Alzheimer's and dementia. So, when you really think about it, this really means that someone somewhere at every moment of the day is doing Alzheimer's and dementia research, and that's really thanks to the Alzheimer's Association. When it comes to research, we are attacking Alzheimer's from many fronts. To know more about detection, to know more about prevention, early diagnosis, and treatment, we're certainly advocating for increased funding here on a national level for Alzheimer's and dementia research. Over the past few years, you can see that funding at the level of the NIH from our federal research confers has really increased enormously, and we now have 3.5 billion annually given to the National Institute of Health supporting research and Alzheimer's and dementia science. This is just phenomenal. I mean, as I keep mentioning throughout this call, we are committed. We want to make sure that we are doing everything we possibly can to end this disease. For so many people, family, friends, caregivers, we are really ensuring we're fundraising and that money is going to research so that we're able to now put it back into communities. One of the things that's really important to point out is that the additional funding every year allows us to bring new research to researchers to the field. It also allows us to make sure that we are funding innovative ideas and filling in those gaps in knowledge and not just focusing on conservative approaches. And this is something that we are incredibly proud of and that we are continuing to do with all of our volunteers and advocates across the country. Alzheimer's has played a role in nearly every single significant advancement in Alzheimer's science to date. You can just see from the slide some of the impact of those efforts here within Illinois. There have been 141 funded projects between 1993 and 2020, and we are currently actively funding 23. This represents nearly around $6.7 million in research investment in our community. And I hope that's reassuring to everybody on the call. You can also see that our research volunteers are very active. We have more than 12,000 scientists across the globe. Locally, they are 175 researchers who have contributed to 1,626 critiques for our International Research Grants Program. Locally, we have over 204 iStart members that continue to connect through resources that the association provides for the professional community. We have a strong funding history, and many of our local institutions, University of Chicago, UIC, Rush, and Eastern Illinois are part of that. So it's really exciting. We're doing great work in Illinois. And as I mentioned, I hope it's reassuring to everybody on the call in understanding that we are investing in our community. We want to make sure that people are equipped with all the resources and information that they have, and just really understanding this disease so that they can help those in the community. So I'm now going to stop sharing my screen and pass this over to Sarah to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Olivia. Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Grafe. I'm a manager and research dietitian over at Rush University. For US Pointer, I'm an intervention director and just help oversee the project. So I'm here today to give you an example, a more concrete example of what this relationship with the Alzheimer's Association looks like and what we're doing with the funding. I'm very lucky. I get to see Olivia every week on meetings. I work very closely with her team. It's truly a collaborative project. So I'll go ahead and share a couple slides that I have. All right, so US Pointer actually has a very long title. So that's why we just abbreviate it to US Pointer. But within the title, you can see that we're focused on lifestyle intervention, and we're trying to reduce the risk of cognitive decline or memory issues. Now, where did this idea come from this research study? It actually goes back about a decade. And there was this groundbreaking study out of that was Finnish, and it's abbreviated as FINGER. This FINGER trial looked at healthy lifestyles and could it reduce risk? And it ended in 2014. They did find a beneficial effect, and we can go into what they found a little bit later if there's a desire to, but they found a beneficial effect by changing lifestyle. And people in the United States wondered, well, how does this translate to the United States? How does this translate to, from maybe a healthy Nordic diet to one that's more common in the United States? So we adapted this finger trial to the United States. And what's kind of cool is that it's actually internationally this initiative now. This network is, many countries have adopted similar models and they're doing these trials as we speak. So, what is it, right? What are these lifestyle changes? Basically, we took very similar idea to finger, and it's all about physical activity, nutrition, social and intellectual stimulation, and then something we call health monitoring, which is looking at things like blood pressure and lab values. So I'll go into a couple specific guidelines or recommendations for you in a few slides. But just to have an idea of what we're talking about, we want to focus on multiple aspects of a healthy lifestyle. A big push from Finger and now US Pointer is we want to form health communities. It can be hard in the United States to have people around you that are interested in a healthy lifestyle. And so that's a part of it. We want people to have this health community. And certainly the North Suburban Y is one great resource for everyone. So in the United States, US Pointer went to various areas. We want this to be nationwide. And there's actually two sites in the Chicago area where we recruited for participants. It was Advocate Healthcare. We closely work with them as well. And then, I'm at Rush, and so we also use the Rush systems to recruit people. Now, I have to say this is not a sales pitch. This is just information. We were fully recruited spring of 23. We have over 2,000 people nationwide in this study. So I get to just talk about what we're doing. We're not looking for anyone to join this particular study. So as I mentioned, over 2,000 participants. One thing we're really proud of is because of this community effort, research studies historically haven't been very good at recruiting diversity and making sure we get people of color. Sometimes men can be hard to recruit. So for US Pointer, last year we realized we had 31% of our participants men and 31% people of color included. We went all over Chicagoland to get participants. It's hard to get the word out sometimes, but we really relied on community partners for help. And we were able to go to various parts of Chicago. We went as far south as West Pullman. We went as far north as Barrington, Lake Zurich, Northbrook, Arlington Heights. We really tried to get a very diverse geographic region as well. We went all the way to Naperville and Aurora. And again, the idea is that we're going out to these communities. And how we did this was through presentations. It was going to health fairs. It was going to farmers markets. And really just linking with people with similar ideas of how do we help the community. Libraries and senior centers were also great supports for us. You can see here, this was a presentation that one of our advocate staff members did. This was a presentation about how exercise over your lifetime is important. A lot of people as they age don't realize even strength training is crucial to health. And this picture, it looks empty. I promise you we had people. I just didn't want to include anyone in case we didn't have permission to share their picture. So it's been a lot of fun. We started this in 2019 in Chicago. So here's the slide again. Specifically, what have we asked participants to do in US Pointer? Well, we took some standard national guidelines within each of these four areas. Physical activity. One goal is exercise 5 days per week for 30 minutes at a time. Two of those days, resistance training, meaning weights or resistance band or things you have in your household to increase, muscle mass. That's really important. Sometimes people only focus on aerobic. Balance is also really crucial. We need balance work as we age. I do balance work every week. Some of those things can be easy to miss and incorporate. As far as a healthy diet, there are options. As a dietitian, I don't think there's one healthy diet for every person. So in the study, we focus on a few diets. One is the MIND diet, which is tailored towards brain health. We're still researching it, but we have some great evidence so far. It's a combination of the Mediterranean diet and one that helps reduce high blood pressure. So that one could be a separate talk another time. But also, we focus on US Pointer for social and intellectual stimulation. What does that mean? Really, that's just about novel challenges. And also, these novel challenges should be at an appropriate level. We have a neuropsychologist on our team, and she often reminds us that if something is too hard or too easy, that's not quite the sweet spot we're looking for brain health. We want something that's a little challenging and something that's new. It makes your brain work in different pathways, and it gives yourself that challenge to grow. And certainly socialization is important. Family and friends, what does that look like in your health community? And then also this last area that we challenge our participants to get in regularly is blood pressure and following your labs. Many people have primary care physicians, some don't. But really, we're looking at least once a month, get your blood pressure, track that over time. What's that look like? Follow your labs every 6 months. For the study, we look at blood glucose, we look at a lipid panel, so HDL, LDL, triglycerides, total cholesterol. And that's something we track over time. And people get really excited when those are trending in the right direction because of all these other changes they've made. So within those four, again, we want to make sure we encourage either research participants or everyone listening today to have people you can rely on, people that help you and encourage you reach your health goals. If you think about going to a birthday party, what's probably there? Cake, cupcakes, who knows, right? But someone to also be your champion and be with you to make healthy dietary choices and really support that. So what can you do? If you saw that slide and 5 days a week for 30 minutes was really intimidating, you're not alone. You don't have to start here with all of these things. That's not the point. Really, some healthy changes are better than none. And that's for every area that we look at. If right now you're a little more sedentary or, maybe you're walking 1 or 2 days a week, could you get a third day in? Even that is helpful. So just remember that some is better than none. Also, setbacks happen to all of us. Life gets hard. There's going to be stressors that we can't avoid. So don't be too hard on yourself if you have to take a step back and maybe you can't get all four in. Or maybe you just think of, okay, I just need to focus on one of these areas right now. And make a plan for when you can challenge yourself and get back to doing a little bit more. So setbacks happen. Don't be hard on yourself. Just think of a plan when you can get back on track. One thing that's really helpful for a lot of people are writing down goals. Now, One thing to keep in mind is general goals aren't all that helpful. If you write down, I want to try to exercise more, it's a great thought, wonderful, but take it that step further and use this guide to make it more specific. If you tailor it to specific actions, you're more likely to complete it. You've got a plan in place. So, SMARTER is the mnemonic we use. And what that stands for is make sure the goal is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely, right? Put a start date in there. Don't just say, I will. Say, starting today, I'm going to um, walk at a rate where that gets my heart increased for 15 minutes. That should be achievable for your current conditioning. But then let's say you realize after a week, you're going to think, oh, how did that week go? And you say, you know what? Maybe that wasn't realistic to walk 4 days a week at that intensity level. So make sure you evaluate it and then revise it. What would be achievable? What's doable? No one wants to work out for 2 weeks and then feel terrible or get injured, right? That's not the purpose. So just make sure you revise it as you go and that it's realistic. So the last thing that you can do is tell people in your life. People are generally and hopefully supportive when someone wants to set a health goal, but they might not know to encourage you or how to support you. Thinking back to that family function, maybe they bring something that is healthier for you and this family member to eat at a celebration. So there's a lot of ways where telling people can um, be a help and also help hold you accountable to your goals. And remember, we can all reduce our risk. We don't think that lifestyle prevents everything, but Olivia will talk a little more about this. We can certainly reduce our risk. All right, back to you, Olivia.
Okay, thank you. Let me just bring up my deck again. So I want to talk about early detection and diagnosis. What we know today is that an early diagnosis can have a really important emotional, social, and honestly medical benefits for an individual. So it's something that we're driving very hard at the association in light of new treatments that are available. And I'll talk about that a little bit further. An early diagnosis can help people make decisions about their future. You're able to sit down with family and friends and plan out the next few years of your life. It allows you to access better care services and even possibly participate in clinical trials, depending on where you are in the journey. We know that clinical trials play an enormous role in helping find the newest and best treatments, and even potentially a cure for Alzheimer's or other dementias in the future. We also know that participating in a clinical trial has many benefits in terms of maximizing an individual's health care, their ability to receive one of the first or maybe even notice treatments that would be approved by the FDA in the future. So it's really exciting to see how we're developing new ways to diagnose and detect Alzheimer's disease and other dementia. So where we are in terms of progress towards risk reduction and more effective treatments, let's start to talk by covering where we stand right now with FDA therapies. Okay, so we have seen from the Lancet Commission report on dementia, it is 40% of dementia cases could potentially be prevented or delayed by targeting some of those modifiable risk factors that I mentioned earlier on in my presentation. So that is sleep, physical activity, social, mental, all of that. When we talk about those risk factors, I want to remind you again, it's important for you to start at any time, and it's never too late. If you're able to start working on your physical activity, that's great. If you're able to look at your diet and make changes, that's great. If you're able to get more sleep, that's great. If you're able to increase your social circles or find a way of stimulating yourself cognitively, that's really great. And based on the research that we're seeing, it is likely that combining multiple health factors for risk reduction strategies might be the most impactful, not just targeting one particular factor. So, I hope you take that into consideration. At the Alzheimer's Association, we are funding research across the entire pipeline of therapeutics. Anything from laboratory experiments and cells in a dish in a lab, all the way through to phase 3 clinical trials. And this is what we want to see in terms of research progress, from preclinical research all the way to phase 3. It's not until after phase 3 that we have the ability to then submit these therapeutics to the FDA for review and potential approval for patients to use in the future. Now, they are actually 6 approved FDA drugs. For the ones that are grayed out on my screen under the title or heading, treat symptoms, these drugs do not slow down, modify, stop, or reverse the disease process. Rather, they treat the symptoms. And the way I like to describe it is about these drugs is they have the ability to sort of increase the efficiency of cells and how they talk to and listen to each other, but they don't necessarily prevent the cells from dying. And that's really important because to be able to slow down disease process, we need to prevent those cells from dying in the first place. And a lot of research that we're seeing today is really focused on drugs that are aimed at preventing those cells from dying or maintaining that cellular health. So we saw the first approval of the new drug in the category of treatment aimed at slowing disease progression and targeting the underlying biology of the disease. The first approved drug is Aduhelm. It was approved in 2021, and this targets those amyloid plaques in the brain. But Aduhelm, also known as aducanumab, is one of the many drugs that sort of sit in the class of therapeutics that are targeting amyloid in the brain, which is one of the hallmarks for Alzheimer's disease. But there are many other drugs in this clinical trial pipeline today. I do want to point out that last year we did, there's another drug that got approved, and that's Leqembi. It was approved at the start of the year, and it basically does the same thing that Aduhelm does, slowing the disease progression, which is exciting. Donanemab has been submitted for FDA approval, and I imagine we should be hearing shortly whether or not it has received FDA approval. So there are lots of treatments that are on the horizon, really for those that are in the early stages. We do know not everybody can take these treatments, but it's exciting nonetheless that there is something that's available out there for somebody who's experiencing MCI or in the early stages. to slow disease progression, allowing them more time to be independent, more time with family and friends to do the things that they love. It's truly, truly an exciting time, as I mentioned, at the association. I'm sorry, I'm having a lot of trouble with my slide. Is it moving, Sarah?
Yeah,
On my
you're good.
end,
Right now we're on trial match.
okay, right now in trial match. I'm sorry, I don't know why it keeps sticking for me. I apologize. If you're interested in getting involved in research, please check out Trial Match. This is a service that the Alzheimer's Association offers. You can find it on our website. If you go to alz.org/trial match, it is a place where you're able to find a customized list of potential research studies that may match you, or maybe somebody that you know or love is able to participate in our Trial Match research activities. Everyone can get involved in research. So, even I at the Alzheimer's Association, believe it or not, I have a profile on Trial Match. I think it's absolutely necessary for all of us to think about ways that we're able to contribute, if we are able to contribute. So please spend some time on our website, check that out, see what might be interesting for yourself, family, friends, or anybody in the community. And there are many different ways that you can get involved. You can get involved in a study that might be developing a new blood test. You can get involved in a study that might be developing a new treatment. Or you can even get involved in a study that's focused on exercise. There are many ways that you can be involved, and we're really encouraging you to consider and ensure that you're spreading the word to your friends and family about that as well. And, if it's helpful, in some cases, you may not even need to leave your house to participate in the study. Another advantage of using Trial Match is that the trials need to be reviewed by an external board and get approval before it's listed here. This means that you only have to be enrolled in clinical trials from credible researchers if you go through Trial Match. So I do want to make sure that I touch on our resources at the Alzheimer's Association. You can go to our website and you can find information on absolutely anything from research activities to education programs to support groups. We have online resources as well for anyone that wants to take advantage of that. So please do. We also have our helpline. If you know anybody that might be experiencing memory loss, or if you have questions about Alzheimer's and dementia, please call our helpline. We have master level clinicians on the other end that are able to help you with anything that you may want to know more about. So please make sure you call. We're able to do this in over 200 languages. So, if you know somebody in community that doesn't speak English, they're still able to take advantage of our resources. So please make sure that you're visiting our website or calling our helpline and absolutely getting the help that you need. So, I hope that you're able to leave today knowing more about Alzheimer's, dementia, more about the association, the work that we're doing regarding research, how we're a global leader in this space, how it's a truly exciting time because there are new treatments that are available, for those that are in the early stages. But beyond that, what you can start to do to try to reduce your risk of developing this disease. And those are those modifiable risk factors that we talked about. So, I hope that the information that Sarah and I have shared today has been helpful. And, if you have any questions, please absolutely let me know. I'm happy to answer those before I drop off. And I just want to end by saying that our vision at the Alzheimer's Association is a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia. And we're really working hard to realize that goal. And I really believe that we are going to get there one day. Thank you so much.
Sam, I don't think we can hear you.
We can't hear. I can see her mouth moving, but I can't hear anything.
Let me send her a message. I bet it's really great information.
Yeah.
I think I lip read any questions.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe she can't hear us. I
I
don't know.
don't think she can hear us. I don't know. I was having some technical issues. I don't know what's happening.
I can't hear you.
Did we have a couple questions out there? Were you unable to hear me?
Yeah, now
Yeah,
we
we
can hear
couldn't
you.
hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Is there anybody out there that has a question?
I've got one question. A few years ago, I was involved in almost a research study. It was through anyway, they had blood tests that I have p-tau in my blood, but I don't know if that's a risk factor or if it's just that I know that's the part that you see in the plaques and stuff, but I don't know what having it in my blood means. But would the research question place have answers for something like that?
Would one of you like to answer that?
I mean, I just want to know where to look for answers, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can start by just saying that I'm not involved in any research with p-tau. I know it's an early marker, but I don't know, Olivia, do you have more information or a resource?
You know what? I don't, but I'm able to share information. I would have to look on my end for that. And if you don't mind sharing, if you have an email address, I can forward that to you.
My email's
Once
where I signed in.
Pam, are you able to share that with me?
I'll share.
Actually,
say-
yes. We can actually send you all the emails from today.
Okay, if you can, then I can absolutely respond with information on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
It looks like her email address might be Rich Bonita 247, so we can look for that.
No, well, try Rich Bonnie. That's a better one.
Okay, is that how you signed in today?
Well, yeah, either that or Rich Bonita 6, or they're both Gmail. So Rich Bonnie is
Okay,
probably.
I have it on the screen. Or we'll do it through the YMCA website when you were participated in this
Okay, all right.
presentation. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Jean.
Hi. I'm looking for someone who can come to our house and assist my husband with brain exercises on the computer. Is there any place to
Mm.
look for people willing to do that?
That's a really good question. So at the association, we do have a resource called the Community Resource Finder, and it lists all of the available resources within a zip code. So I would have to dig in and see, and also probably reach out to our helpline for any recommendations that they have.
There-
Is
There's
your husband?
there's AARP has brain games online and
Okay,
stuff. I don't know
okay.
how you
But
can.
he can't follow unless someone is there to guide him.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he
I
can
can jump in.
engage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if you're a member. I don't know if you're a member at the Y Gene, but we also have a lot of resources. Karen Brownlee, who is our director. She does all of our health for our senior population. She is a plethora of knowledge and knows a lot of people in that world. We also do brain games at the Y. So Jean, my recommendation is either to give us a call, stop in. We can even email you. I can connect you with possibly Karen or somebody else. We might be able to help you with that as well.
Oh, great. I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have a question?
I'm just asking on behalf of my mom. I'm curious if anyone would recommend starting with like an MCI screening, an official screening, like mild cognitive impairment screening, because we've talked to her primary care physician. I'll go with her to her doctor appointments, and it's treated like a little casually. And I've also read articles about that where everyone's like, just try to work on your diet or try. And I'm like, I kind of want to understand like where she is on the spectrum, because her memory has definitely declined over the course of the pandemic. So I'm just curious if that's something specific I can ask for at the doctor's office. I was planning on trying to message her primary care physician before her next appointment in February, just to say, can we schedule this? Because I don't think I can spring it on her in the office visit saying, hey, can we just do this testing right now? It sounds like it's a little more involved, but I'm just curious if that's recommended just for everyone if they feel like they're noticing their memory is declining. Like, is that a good place to start?
Absolutely, that's a great place to start. We encourage that. I mean, as my presentation kind of was indicating, for some people in the early stages, mild cognitive or just early Alzheimer's, they are able to take advantage of some of the new therapies that are now available. So, if your mother is a candidate for that, that would be terrific if she's able to get on that right away. So absolutely, if you notice any sort of changes, please see your primary care physician, get a screening so you can at least know what's happening. At the very least, I think it provides some sort of relief to understand what is happening. If it's not that, maybe you can get an answer about something else, and that can be comforting to you to know how to help mom. So absolutely, make an appointment, get her screened, find out what's happening.
And just to add on to Olivia a little bit, completely agree. I think giving your primary care notice is helpful. One thing I learned from our neuropsychologist on the study is they have specialized testing that primary cares can't do and neurologists don't do either. So a neuropsychologist potentially down the line, once you see your primary care, may be able to help further with more in-depth testing. But yeah, maybe the primary can take a little more seriously, I hope.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of feel like as her family, and actually, hi, my sister's also on the call. Hi, Mary. But we do try to, keep her engaged. And I've talked to her so many times about like social engagement, diet, exercise, and I don't know if going and actually getting an official test result would kind of strengthen my push to try to do these things. And also if I'm working and I'm trying to like manage that. I just didn't know if like getting an official result that could also just sort of help light the fire a little bit too. And she is seeing a geriatric physician, that's her primary care physician, which is kind of surprising because I thought that she would also be a little more like, yeah, let's talk about her memory, but it's always kind of like, oh, she's doing fine, So it's just good to know that that's an option and something that we'll pursue for sure. So thanks, and thanks very much for all the info. It's really helpful.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Great. So we're just about out of time here. Anybody else have a last question? If not, we'll go ahead and close up. A couple things that I just want to mention. Wonderful presentation. And for those of you that are not familiar with our YMCA, a lot of the things they mentioned, we actually offer. Specifically for our seniors, we have a social club, and we also do brain games on a weekly basis, both in person and virtual. So please check that out.
Hello?
The other thing that we have is balance classes.
Hello?
And we also have a new presentation regarding balance, and that's called Balance Strong, Live Long.
Hello?
I can mute.
Sorry.
Lee and
My
Marty,
phone
did
rang.
you have a question? Okay, looks like they just muted. Sorry about that. So there's a lot of things that we do. We also have a nutritionalist on site, and Sarah as well as a nutritionalist. So a lot of personal training. So the Y really can be kind of your place to help in any sort of way. And we have a lot of our members on scholarship. So if finances is an issue, we obviously can still bring you on regardless. So Amy, if you're in the area, Mary, if your mom is in the area, please come look at us. We'd love to help as well. Thank you again. I do want to mention that our next presentation is coming up next Tuesday, the 23rd. It is actually going to be with IBJI, and it's specifically about pain management. So if you'd like to join us, it's at 7 p.m. Check us out on nsymca.org. Again, it is free and open to the public. I thank you all for joining us. Again, we will be in touch and look for a future date with Alzheimer's Association again. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.